Welcome to the Enlightened Empath course. This has been in the making for a long time. I came up with the idea actually a few years ago in my own health coaching journey, and I've just kind of been, slaving away at it for a long time. I feel the pull for something like this. And I really think that in this day and age, this is really needed. I've met so many fellow empaths and those who are highly sensitive, and really, um, I have a heart for that struggle. As someone who is a notoriously overfeeler, I know that sometimes the weight of the world can really weigh me down. So that's what this course is designed to do. I originally had this formatted very differently. This is going to be in a private members only subscription style format. But I really just felt the need to release it like this, as it is for now. And in the future, I will probably add content to it and run it again, concurrent with some of my other programs. And I would love for you to join me on that journey. But for now, I feel like this needs to be my service to you. So I do hope that this course will bring you a sense of fellowship and community with others that are like yourself. And will also kind of give you a better understanding of your unique makeup and how you interact with the world around you. I want you to be ready to step into your purpose with a greater sense of self-assuredness, of confidence, and of peace. And that tends to be very difficult when you are constantly picking up other people's emotions. Okay, so we're going to learn how to differentiate that. For our first class in the series, which is this one, we're going to start with just the basics. And then as we progress through the course, we will continue to build kind of on these foundations. So for today, we're going to start just kind of by discussing what empathy is and what it means to be an empath, because plenty of people have empathy, but not everyone is an empath. So I am going to give you some statistics if you can bear with me for the science of it. But ultimately, this is going to kind of help you determine if you're not sure if you're an empath, and it will kind of help you determine if you in fact are one. So do feel free to type your questions into the chat. Actually, let me make sure that I do have the chat open so I can see those questions. And then I will also try to monitor the Facebook chat as well. So like I said, bear with me as I iron out the kinks here. But do type your questions in the chat. I will do my best to monitor them. And then once I've completed the lesson, I will definitely address any questions that you have. I will try to keep this particular class to about 30 minutes for the lesson, and then 15 to 30 minutes for questions, just because of a little bit of a delay in our start time and just kind of getting through this administrative stuff. It may run a little past 8, but it shouldn't be too much longer than that. And then we can always continue the conversation in a group on Facebook if that interests you, or right here in the comments as well. So if your questions do not get answered today, please go ahead and check back to this video via Facebook within the next few days, and I will be sure to answer your questions there. So without further ado, let's unpack empathy and what it really means to be an empath. So empathy is defined as the capacity to understand or feel what another person is experiencing from within their frame of reference, or the capacity to be able to kind of place yourself in another's position. So for example, if someone falls and they skin their knee, you can empathize with what they're going through because you have likely experienced something similar yourself. Now, you can understand what they are going through, but you don't necessarily share their feelings. So anyone has the potential for empathy, except for maybe sociopaths. That's a topic for a completely other course. But that doesn't automatically make a person an empath. Just because you can experience empathy does not mean you are an empath. Empaths are actually much more than empathy. So before we dig any deeper into defining what an empath is, I do want to briefly discuss HSPs. I know that you're thinking, what the heck is an HSP? Empaths are actually a narrower subsection of the population that can be categorized as highly sensitive people, HSP. Highly sensitive people are just what the name implies. They're highly sensitive. So oftentimes a highly sensitive person will find themselves kind of overwhelmed by bright lights, strong smells, loud sounds, big crowds, even coarse fabrics. They tend to be very sensitive to even the slightest things that may seem imperceptible to others. They do tend to stress more in busy or hurried environments, or get more upset or violent, by violent or frightening movies. So anything that has a lot of emotion to it can tend to really stir up a highly sensitive person. They are often more keenly aware of the slightest sounds, smells, or even changes to their environment, even on an energetic level. Okay, I can sense when someone comes into a room without them making a sound. And some HSPs have even been diagnosed with things like anxiety disorder or sensory processing disorder. So oftentimes they are diagnosed with a disorder, and maybe that's just their natural makeup. Okay, so we'll talk more later about how this can negatively affect their self-esteem. But for now, we're going to wrap up kind of our investigation of HSPs by mentioning that they make up roughly 20% of the overall population. Okay. Empaths, however, make up just 5% of the HSP population. So like HSPs, they are highly sensitive to their physical environment, but they have an extra level of complexity in that they are sensitive even to subtle energy shifts. And I'm not kidding when I say very subtle energy shifts. This means that they can often feel storms approaching. They might become stressed by electrical surges and may even physically manifest symptoms from the pain or the emotions of other people around them. In fact, they can even do this for people that they are close to, but not necessarily close to in proximity. Empaths are like tuning forks. So even when a person is concealing their true feelings and emotions, it's really quite difficult for them to hide from a true empath. Empaths have sensitivities that can be trained, and they may be able to do this voluntarily, but many empaths actually experience this gift involuntarily. So sometimes this might even feel kind of like a curse, but I promise you, before the end of this curse, I will provide the evidence to you that this is actually not a curse, but in fact a blessing. Okay. I do suspect that many of you are here because you are a natural empath seeking to gain some understanding and control over your special gift. And yes, it is a gift. But before we get into how it could possibly be a gift, let's talk about the dark side of being an empath and how that actually affects your everyday life. So I'm going to give you a little scenario. You get up in the mornings feeling great. You hop into the car and you turn on the radio and kind of start grooving to your favorite song. Then the traffic is relatively minimal. Nobody cuts you off. You're feeling amazing. It's a fantastic day. You walk into work. It's a job that you love. And within 30 seconds, you feel terrible. You're not even really sure why, but you're angry, you're irritated, exhausted, or you just want to cry. And you don't even know why. You've just picked up someone else's emotional baggage involuntarily. Someone in the office next to you is going through something and you're in proximity to that energy. So of course you've picked it up. This is one of the reasons I don't like to go to the mall because there's always so much energy around, it exhausts me. I'm not a big fan of parties or large gatherings. I do tend to keep it as a much smaller, close-knit kind of group of people. I get very overwhelmed very fast. So this can be incredibly frustrating to live with, and it's exhausting if you have no idea what's going on. Thankfully, though, you have landed here with me as your guide. So learning how to deal with this can be complex, but we will go through the process in detail as our course continues. Okay? You'll learn ways to protect your energy and restore yourself after picking up on someone else's negative energy. You'll learn about setting healthy boundaries. That's a big one. And about avoiding or limiting contact with the people who willfully seek to drain that precious gift from your being. And yes, there are people that they may not know what it's called, but they know that you have this gift. They know that you're an empath, and they will try to drain you. Okay. Hopefully, hopefully you will be able to forge some amazing relationships with other empaths through this course. And I want to make sure that you know I am always a resource for you if you need someone to commiserate with you and kind of help walk you through this. I don't want you to be afraid to share your experiences. And I also want to, as we progress, I may provide you some prompts within the Overflow Wellness page for now. And in the future, it will probably be in a group setting, so in the Facebook groups or something, to kind of help keep the conversation going. For now, though, I am going to give you a little bit of a homework assignment. So the first step to be able to be enlightened and empowered in your gift is to learn how to manage it. Learn how to harness it. So the next time you suddenly feel a massive shift in your emotions for no apparent reason, ask yourself, is this mine? Take note of every time that you ask yourself this question and the number of times you acknowledge that your feelings are not your own. Okay? If it's not your own, how can you recenter yourself? This is going to be an individual practice, and I will teach you more about how to bring yourself back to center and release whatever emotions that you've picked up from your location or from your loved ones. And you'll be able to differentiate much easier. But for now, I want it to be very personalized for you. And some of the techniques that I will give you may work for you, and some of them may not work for you. That's why it's important for you to begin this process now with just identifying what is yours and what is not, and then being able to find ways to kind of separate yourself from that emotion. Now, if it is yours, it's really important that you sit with that. If you are feeling emotional over an event that's going on in your life, or maybe you're just feeling emotional for no apparent reason, but you do feel like it is yours, it is something that is coming from you and not from someone else, it's important for you to sit with that and maybe work on some shadow work. If you need some information about that, I did a blog post a few weeks ago about shadow work that has tons of prompts that can help you through shadow work and explain what shadow work is. But being able to identify your own emotions and process through them in a healthy way is really going to help you stay grounded and balanced as a person with such unique and necessary gifts. Yeah, I know that this can kind of seem like a bit of a curse, but these gifts really are necessary. So before we wrap up, I do have a little bit of a confession to make. I have really wrestled with getting this course out. And quite honestly, it has been utterly terrifying to me in every way, to put myself out there and to be vulnerable and real. It's it's easy to slap on a filter and pretend that you're this or that. It's easy to dance in front of the camera for 15 seconds and pretend that everything's okay. But as an empath, I understand that sometimes everything's not okay. That sometimes the world is overwhelming, and I don't want you to be afraid to share that, even if it's privately. That's fine. If you're willing to share it publicly, trust me when I tell you that there are other people who would benefit from that, even if it's just one person that sees you being raw and real. So trust that that nudge inside of you if you do feel the need to share, and know that you're not alone. That's the point of this course. This is a labor of love, and I really want you to get the most out of it. I am prepared for constructive criticism as we progress, so please feel free to leave me a comment, and I trust that the constructive criticism will be divinely timed and perfectly planned, and I will do my best to integrate that into these trainings as we move forward. I expect this program to run for about 6 weeks. However, I severely underestimate how quickly I can get through my typed notes. So it may not even take us that long. I may double up on some of the content, but these meetings are being recorded and they will be uploaded to our YouTube channel over on Empath Wellness, and they will be also added to a web page so that you can find them all in one place easily. And I hope that this blesses you. And we will talk more about what it means to be an empath tomorrow. We are going to talk about why it is so emotionally draining. And again, depending on how quickly I get through that, we may actually go ahead and skip on over to our next module as well and talk about how you may have become an empath. So I hope you will join me tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Same place. So far, I think everything's working well on Facebook. And I will also pin a link to the Zoom if that's easier for you to get to. And that way you have that at your disposal. And hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you soon.